The Enigmatic Killer, the Case of Israel Keyes. In the early 2000s, the United States was experiencing rapid technological advancements and increasing interconnectedness. Amidst this modern landscape, a chilling figure operated in the shadows, methodically planning and executing a series of heinous crimes. His name was Israel Keyes, and his actions would shock the nation and perplex investigators for years. Israel Keyes was born in Richmond, Utah, on January 7, 1978. Raised in a strict religious environment, Keyes showed signs of antisocial behavior from a young age. As he grew older, his fascination with violence and control deepened, leading him down a dark path that would culminate in a string of meticulously planned murders. Keyes's methodical approach to his crimes set him apart from other serial killers. He was a meticulous planner, often spending months or even years preparing for a single murder. He created kill kits, which he buried in various locations across the country, containing weapons, duct tape, and other tools necessary for his crimes. These kits ensured that he would be prepared whenever he found a suitable victim, no matter where he was. The Samantha Koenig Case. In June 2011, Keyes committed one of his most infamous crimes. He abducted Samantha Koenig, an 18-year-old barista from Anchorage, Alaska. Surveillance footage captured Keyes approaching Samantha's coffee stand just before closing time. He forced her into his car at gunpoint and took her to a shed on his property. Over the next few hours, he assaulted and murdered her, all the while keeping her body hidden in a freezer. Keyes then went on a pre-planned vacation with his family, leaving Samantha's body behind. Upon his return, he posed Samantha's body to make it appear as though she was still alive, taking a photograph with a recent newspaper. He then sent a ransom note to her family, demanding money in exchange for her safe return. After collecting the ransom, Keyes dismembered Samantha's body and disposed of the remains in a lake. The ransom transaction led authorities to Keyes. He was arrested in Texas in March 2012, bringing an end to his killing spree. However, the true extent of his crimes was far from being revealed. Under interrogation, Keyes began to divulge details of his other murders, shocking investigators with his cold and calculated confessions. Confessions and other murders. Keyes admitted to committing at least 11 murders across the United States, but the exact number remains unknown. He chose his victims at random, ensuring there were no patterns or connections that could lead authorities to him. His preferred method was to travel to different states, often flying under the radar by using cash and avoiding electronic transactions that could be traced. One of Keyes's most chilling admissions was the murder of Bill and Lorraine Currier, a married couple from Essex, Vermont. In June 2011, Keyes broke into their home, abducted them, and took them to an abandoned farmhouse. There he brutally murdered them and concealed their bodies, which have never been found. Keyes's meticulous planning and execution of his crimes left investigators astounded. He showed no remorse, describing his actions with a chilling detachment that highlighted his complete lack of empathy. His ability to blend into society and avoid detection for so long only added to the horror of his crimes. The investigation. The investigation into Israel Keyes's crimes was a complex and challenging task. Keyes's nomadic lifestyle and meticulous planning made it difficult for authorities to track him down. He used disposable phones, paid for everything in cash, and avoided creating any electronic footprints that could be traced back to him. The breakthrough came when Keyes used Samantha Koenig's debit card to withdraw money from an ATM in Texas. Surveillance footage captured his rental car, and authorities were able to track him down through the vehicle's rental records. Keyes was arrested on March 13, 2012 in Lufkin, Texas, bringing an end to his reign of terror. Under interrogation, Keyes began to reveal the extent of his crimes. He took pleasure in describing his meticulous planning and the sense of control he felt during the murders. His confessions provided chilling insights into the mind of a serial killer who operated with a level of precision and detachment rarely seen in such cases. Keyes's arrest and subsequent confessions revealed a disturbing pattern of behavior. He often targeted remote areas and small towns, where he believed his crimes would go unnoticed. He buried kill kits in various locations across the country, sometimes years in advance, ensuring he would have the necessary tools when he found a suitable victim. Keyes's methodology and mindset. Keyes's methodology was unique in its meticulousness and randomness. Unlike many serial killers who have specific types of victims or methods, Keyes deliberately chose his victims at random, ensuring there were no patterns for authorities to follow. He planned his crimes with military precision, often spending months or even years preparing for a single murder. Keyes created kill kits containing weapons, duct tape, and other tools necessary for his crimes. He buried these kits in remote locations across the country, sometimes years in advance. This method allowed him to be prepared whenever he found a suitable victim, no matter where he was. The kits ensured that he would leave minimal evidence behind, making it difficult for authorities to trace the crimes back to him. Keyes's lack of a consistent modus operandi made it challenging for authorities to link his crimes. He varied his methods, using different weapons and techniques to kill his victims. This unpredictability, combined with his careful planning, allowed him to evade detection for years. Throughout his confessions, Keyes revealed a disturbing fascination with serial killers and an obsession with controlling his victims. He spoke of his admiration for Ted Bundy and expressed frustration at the media's portrayal of serial killers, believing they often got too much credit for their intelligence and cunning. Keyes took pride in his ability to avoid detection and outsmart law enforcement. He viewed his crimes as a game, a challenge to see how long he could continue without getting caught. This mindset, combined with his meticulous planning and lack of empathy, made him one of the most dangerous and enigmatic serial killers in recent history. The impact on victims' families. The impact of Israel. Keyes's crimes on the families of his victims cannot be overstated. The pain and suffering caused by his actions continue to haunt those left behind. For the families of Samantha Koenig, Bill and Lorraine Currier, and other unnamed victims, the loss of their loved ones is a wound that may never fully heal. Samantha Koenig's family was devastated by her abduction and murder. The false hope created by Keyes's ransom note only added to their agony. The image of Samantha, posed to appear alive, and the subsequent discovery of her dismembered remains left a lasting scar on her family and the community of Anchorage. The families of Bill and Lorraine Currier faced a similar ordeal. The couple's disappearance and the inability to locate their bodies have left their loved ones in a state of perpetual uncertainty. The lack of closure and the knowledge that Keyes took their lives in such a brutal manner continue to weigh heavily on their hearts. Keyes's confessions, while providing some answers, also left many questions unanswered. The true extent of his crimes remains unknown, and the possibility that there are other victims whose families have yet to find closure is a haunting thought. The pain and suffering caused by his actions ripple through time, affecting not only the immediate families, but also the broader communities touched by his crimes. Keyes's suicide and legacy. In December 2012, while awaiting trial, Israel Keyes took his own life in his jail cell. He left behind a suicide note, filled with cryptic references and disturbing drawings, but it provided no clear answers or closure for the families of his victims. His death marked the end of his physical presence, but the legacy of fear and pain he left behind continues to haunt those who seek to understand his twisted mind. Keyes's suicide was a final act of control, denying the families of his victims the opportunity to see him brought to justice. It also left law enforcement with unanswered questions about the full extent of his crimes. Despite his confessions, many believe there are still unknown victims whose fates remain a mystery. The investigation into Keyes's life and crimes has continued, with authorities and researchers attempting to piece together the full picture of his activities. His kill kits, buried in various locations across the country, are still being discovered, providing chilling reminders of his meticulous planning and the breadth of his intentions. Keyes's case has become a subject of study for criminologists and psychologists who seek to understand the mind of a serial killer who defied many of the typical patterns. His ability to blend into society, his lack of a consistent modus operandi, and his meticulous planning make him a unique and particularly disturbing figure in the history of American crime. Conclusion: the story of Israel. Keyes is one of chilling calculation, meticulous planning, and a complete lack of empathy. His ability to operate undetected for years, committing random and brutal murders across the United States, sets him apart as one of the most enigmatic serial killers in recent history. Keyes's legacy is one of fear and pain, a reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind a seemingly ordinary exterior. His death, while ending his physical presence, has left many questions unanswered and many wounds unhealed. For those who continue to study his case, the quest for answers and understanding is ongoing. Each new piece of evidence, each new revelation, brings a fresh perspective on the mind of a killer who defied conventional understanding. In the end, the story of Israel Keyes is a stark reminder of the capacity for evil that exists within the human soul. It is a story that continues to haunt and captivate, a dark chapter in the history of American crime that refuses to be closed. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to explore more unsolved mysteries and chilling cases, make sure to subscribe to True Crime Told. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode, and join our community of true crime enthusiasts.